Y'all still in shock from the election?
But one of the more stunning things to me is that after years of being assured by the left that Trump's the worst racist to ever run for president, you saw so many black and particularly Latino voters racing to vote for him. Why?
Yeah, I knew that was going to happen. That was a big part of my prediction, was that especially black men, you could see that they were turning away, especially after Barack Obama was really patronizing to come out. You left your Martha Vineyards estate and decided to roll up your sleeves and inauthentically tell the brothers how they have to behave. You know, I think it's one of these things where you just can't keep doing the exact same thing all the time and not expect people to wake up to your patterns. And it has been a very long pattern of them speaking to people in a manner in which they're essentially telling them that if you don't do this, it's because you're a racist. If you don't do this, it's because you're backwards. If you're a black person, it's your duty to behave like this. And fundamentally, that is racist, right? When you're not even actually saying anything based upon her policies or talking to people as if they're individuals who are having their lives impacted by their bad policies, but rather saying it's incumbent upon you as a woman to vote for her because she's a woman. It's incumbent upon you as a man to vote for him because you're black and she's going to be the first African president, which she wasn't. And so I think, and I think I've been proven correct here, the celebrity endorsements really hurt them this time around. It felt very cheesy, especially because she wasn't voted for, right? So she had 107 days. She didn't even campaign. They just kind of, it was a coronation more than anything else. It's a coronation. We've picked her for you and you will do as we are instructing you to do and vote for her because look, we have LeBron James and we have Beyonce and that's what you know to do when Taylor Swift gives you a post. I think ultimately they insulted a lot of their voters.
Yeah, I mean, Marc Lamont Hill, I really feel that this time. You know, whether it was Jennifer Lopez lecturing Latinos that this is, you can't vote for this guy, or Barack Obama telling black voters you've got to vote for the black candidate, Oprah, George Clooney, out they come, you know, as it did for Hillary Clinton, but it didn't work for her, and it didn't work for Kamala Harris. And I do feel like Candace just said, I felt it actively deterred people. I think it drove them to go and vote against what they saw as a kind of celebrity, multimillionaire elite. What do you think of that?
Well, you guys made a few points I'd like to respond to. First, I don't know if celebrity culture or in the wave of celebrities deterred people from voting. I'd rather rely on the data for that. And until I see the data on that, I don't want to make a determination. I think that voters in general want to be spoken to about policy issues. I think they want to be engaged about the things that matter in their lives. Yeah. But Barack Obama also had a ton of celebrities, and it did work. You know, I think if people like you, celebrities are an added bonus. If they don't like you, if they don't want you, celebrities hurt. I don't think that's the issue here. I think more fundamentally, the question of whether you should vote for somebody because you're black or because you're a woman or whatever is a little more complicated than has been suggested. I think that the message that I would give to somebody is never vote to support somebody because they're black, right? I would never vote for a candidate because they're black, but I will vote for a candidate because I'm black. In other words, I will vote for a candidate that speaks to my interests. And I think it's okay to say to people, hey, there are some things that affect your community, and this candidate is better for you. The problem is we should not presume that because someone is the same race as you or the same gender as you, that they have your community's best interest at heart.
I think he's going to say more, but I want to cut him off right here because he said enough. First of all, that was a mic drop on the celebrity. The headwind that they got from the celebrity endorsements this year versus the win at their back when Obama was likable and everybody saw what the celebrity endorsements did to support him. And let's not lie. Woo! You remember when Obama was running for president? Yeah. I mean, it felt like Yo MTV Raps, The Basement, Rock and Jock. It was like everybody was like it was fad to talk about Obama. So that was a tremendous point. Don't get it twisted. What she felt in headwind is what helped propel him. So it's just about her and likability, not necessarily the celebrities. Love that point. But then he also said something that was really perplexing. He said, don't vote for somebody because they're black, but I will vote for them because I'm black. So you're defining black as a list of attributes or things you could connect to in policy. And that's when you start to make it the monolith. And that's when it becomes problematic. I'm going to let him finish. But what is about you, white, or what is about me, black, or what is about you, brown, that someone can say, and I'm like universally saying, yeah, that's a black thing. Can't even say sports and athletics. Because, boy, there's some sorry black athletes out there, and they feel really bad. They feel the worst because they are expected to be an athlete. Remember you saw Akilah and the Bee? Remember that movie about the little black girl? I think she went to Crenshaw right down the street, or Crenshaw area, lived there. And she won a spelling bee. I'm supposed to be a Indian. I was a little sister one that time, right? And the point is, what could possibly connect to me in this world just because I'm black? You see? See how he walked down right into that dark alley? It sounded poetic, but I didn't get it. Candace made a tremendous point. She said, look, I saw this coming. And I did see it coming too. In part, I saw it coming because I'm one of the guys, and I don't want credit, but I'm one of the guys that was saying sellout things earlier than a lot of other people were. I work with Jason Whitlock, and you guys know that, so obviously Jason Whitlock has been hearing that way longer than me. But basically, when you say something that wasn't with the mainstream, because, you know, even as Marc Lamont said, you know, you're black, so there's certain things that you are, because that's what they could connect to. When you don't say exactly that, I know for a fact that they're going to call you out your name. They did it to me. They do it to others. They did it to Candace Owens. And Candace Owens has been making a turn of late in the eyes of black people, in the eyes of the communities out there, because first she was pariah. Who is she? What? And now people started saying, wait a minute. Did you hear what she said, though? I mean, she ain't wrong. You start seeing in the post, she ain't wrong, but the but is, I don't want to embrace her because I know I don't want to be labeled as her. But the real is, what she said was real. I'm going to give it to you in these steps. It was the Obama reality. When Obama got in office and the terms and then he left, a lot of black people looked around and said, wait a minute. Did that just happen? Yeah. Was that amazing? It was, but is my life amazing? It's not. And I think that was the first time you saw the shift of like, wow. Everybody was saying, we'll never have a black president. Oh, we just had a black president. Now, is it better for black people? That was step one. Step two was Jay-Z. Y'all remember when Jay-Z, do y'all remember Jugga? That guy from the 90s, 2000s. I mean, pretty much untouchable. Married Beyonce. Like, it was just insane. Jay-Z did no wrong. Left Dame Dash and that's the right move. Now you're a billionaire. You did the right thing. Even though he the homie, he got in the way of business. And like Jay-Z was just stepping. He was walking on water. So much that when Kaepernick took the knee in the NFL and the boycott and everybody was talking bad about the league, who did they hire? Who they thought was Teflon Don? Jiggle. And everybody went like this. To Jigga. Jigga got called out his name. What? Jay-Z a sellout? What? Jay-Z? Now, I know Jay-Z a little bit. You know what I mean? Let's just say unreal. Like, one day he walking around, he Jay-Z, Jigga, untouchable. Next day, because of something he didn't even do, he just tried to take cover for or steer the NFL to where it is now, where now you understand it, even though it's a little controversy with Lil Wayne. But point being, he ain't getting called out his name for that. Jay-Z. So Obama, the reality that, wait a minute, the government ain't gonna save my life if I'm black or anybody. Two, the fact that people like me, Candace Owens, you can say Jason, whoever you want to say. But three, Jay-Z in that Kaepernick situation, he getting twisted, his whole image and persona getting twisted. And here's the last part. Y'all, social media, yeah. How many times y'all wrote a post and was ready to read those comments after you went to the bathroom, got up? Hey, what y'all talking about? That ain't what I meant. That ain't who I am. What y'all doing? Why they hating? Oh, you got misconstrued. And when you got misconstrued and you started to look at this guy named Donald Trump who started to say, hey, fake news, you started to realize there is fake news. There is propaganda. I can get misread. I can get misconstrued. I can let Marc Lamont finish.
I do think in the case of Kamala Harris, though, an interesting thing happened, right? They were basically saying women's reproductive rights are on the table. If you specifically are pro-abortion, you should be voting for Kamala Harris because that's your only chance at saving what has already been a devastating loss. I think that is logical. If you support abortion, Donald Trump ain't the guy to vote for based on what he said and based on what Kamala Harris has said. I think, though, what we saw in America, what we always see in America, is that white people in general in terms of the majority, are not going to vote for a Democrat. No Democrat has gotten the majority of white voters since like LBJ. It's been decades. And so ultimately, white people often don't vote their interests. Black people often don't vote their interests. And I think that's the problem, and that's why many of us get so frustrated.
But I had a fascinating conversation with an African-American woman, I guess in her late 30s, maybe early 40s, yesterday, and she voted Trump for the first time. And I said, why? And she said, you know, it's interesting. So I grew up in a family where you just would automatically vote for a black presidential candidate if there was one, Barack Obama, and now Kamala Harris. And she said that was how my family were. And she said, and I decided this time that I didn't care about the fact she was a woman or that she was black. I cared about what she was going to do for my personal finances, what she was going to do about the border, what she was going to do about all these things. And she talked about a number of issues. And it was really interesting. She said, I voted, she said, you know, I was almost colorblind when I voted. I didn't care that she looked like me. I cared about what she could do for me. And I wonder, given how many black voters gravitated to Trump this time, and given particularly how many Latinos did, how many of them were having that same conversation with themselves, saying they may not even like him that much. She wasn't a particular fan of Trump's, but she just was put off by the kind of posturing of people to try and direct you to vote according to your ethnicity.
How sad is it? Like, it almost sounds like it's profound when it should just be obvious. Oh, I voted for the person who actually said something to me, who had policies that I could understand, that they could articulate, that meant something. Instead of blinded by, can you imagine if another DN just ran for office? Another big black DN from LA, like, yeah, you got my vote, dog. Like, what? Grow up. It's amazing.
Yeah. It's fundamentally just not educated to vote for someone and say, well, this person looks like me, so that means that they have my best interests at heart. I just think it's the most uneducated thing you could possibly do.
Yeah.
And it's especially rich when you have someone, because Marc, you just said, I maybe wouldn't vote for them because they're black, but I might vote for them because I'm black, right? And I might think that their interests align. I hope I'm paraphrasing that correctly, but the reality is even that fundamentally makes no sense. LeBron James, just because he is black, is not living the black experience of somebody who might be living on the south side of Chicago. It's actually insulting when LeBron James posts something, and you saw this in the comments, by the way, if we could use any metric, it was the fact that LeBron James had to start hiding comments because the overwhelming majority of them were negative when he made a post that was very propagandist. He was using things that Trump said and splicing it and behind clips of the civil rights movement. It made entirely no sense. It was offensive level of propaganda. You have a man who lives in a $100 million Bel Air mansion, okay? He does not touch his own door handles, okay? So when he tells you about how he's worried about the future for his children, this man is so wealthy and so connected that he has a son who quite literally is not qualified in terms of his actual metrics to be playing for the Lakers. But because of good old-fashioned nepotism, he is playing for the Lakers besides his father, because they thought, well, good advertisement, a father and a son playing, you know? And so when you see that taking place and this person pretending to be in the struggle, that's why I said Barack Obama exiting his mansion in Martha's Vineyard to come down and roll up his sleeves and speak to the brothers, it does resonate as insulting. And so at the end of the day, people were moved by, okay, you know what? Despite what the media rhetoric is about Trump, how am I actually living right now? And I know they're going to say, well, these statistics show, and they've released this. When I was living under Trump, the gas was low. I was able to afford gas. I was able to afford groceries. And everything the media told me the first time around about him being Adolf Hitler and telling me that he was going to put me back into slave chains didn't come true, right? It didn't come true. I already survived under Trump, and I was living better. And so there was this common sense element, and I knew that that was going to happen. And it's beautiful to see. It's beautiful to see people say, I'm not going to respond to that sort of a rhetoric anymore. I'm not going to vote because I'm a woman or because I'm black. I'm going to vote what actually makes sense.
Come on, Marc.
Yeah, Marc, you're shaking your head a lot there. Why?
Well, to the first point, Candace, you may not have heard the second part of what I said. I said, I vote for someone because I'm black. I said, but I also added, I don't presume that because someone shares my color that they represent my interests. So I don't assume that the black person is the best person to represent the black community, or that the woman is the best person to represent women's interests. I added that part as well. So we're actually not in disagreement there. I think it's really important to look at the agenda. I have voted in the past for old white men, old white ladies. I didn't vote for Barack Obama when he was on the ticket in 2008 as a Green Party member, because I thought that the white woman who was running against him, or at that point actually a black woman, had a better chance of meeting my issues. I voted for Jill Stein instead of Hillary Clinton. There have been moments where I don't make that alignment, but I do think we have to vote based on our collective community interests. I think it's interesting, though, that to say someone like LeBron James can't speak for the conditions of a poor person or the everyday black experience of the person struggling in America, if we make that argument, because he's a near billionaire, if not a billionaire, then it would be really hard to make the argument that Trump has the ability to speak for the average Joe. It's sort of interesting that Trump's whole candidacy, his whole campaign has been based on saying, look, his whole candidacy is saying, his whole campaign has said, look, I know what is best to heal America. The people who are working in factories, when he goes down to places like Ohio or Pennsylvania, I've literally stood there as he said, I can get you back working again.
Okay, because they going somewhere else. This is it. This is one of the best interviews ever. This sucker did $1 million in less than a day. Get it, Piers. All right, here we go. Because I like both of these guys. Like, I listen to Marc, I listen to Candace. Candace be dropping insane bombs, but Marc be going too, so it's hard. Here we go. Let's talk about this. He said that majority whites vote Republican, the majority, which is interesting because you know how the parties kind of labeled and switched, as they say. Republicans went Dem and Dem with Republicans. All the Freedom Acts and all of the things that's been passed in legislation over the years, all the way back to Abraham Lincoln, have all been Republican, labeled as now Democrat, at least in rhetoric. And the blacks vote Democrat. We know that, right? But that's really, if you go with the switch, because KKK started under Democratic policy, they say. So blacks vote Democrat overwhelmingly, and that's really the party that started the KKK. And then whites vote Republican, but we call them racist, but that's really the one that's been freeing black people. It's crazy, right? If y'all caught that. All right, so black experience. And Candace was careful because she almost slipped in it, but she said LeBron James can't speak for the black experience because his black experience is not the same. That's the beauty of it. So stop saying this black experience is this thing, because this thing is everything. So what is the thing? It's like matter. It's like, what does matter? Everything. What do you mean? It matters. So black experience, I love this. LeBron and his mansion, right, in Brentwood, right? Or is that the new one in Bel Air? I don't know. What the hell? And the Southside Chicago cat. They have different worlds, but they're both black. That's why the race versus culture argument, race versus class argument. That's why I've always been class first. I mean, I know y'all, hey, I'm listening to you talking race. I'm talking class. It looked different. I was the same OG. See Compton? Welfare. That's me. Then I went to Columbia, still broke. They treated me different. I'm looking different. I'm acting different. NFL, everything changed. What changed though? I'm still me. I'm still black. Black didn't change. What changed was class. Just trying to, if your class hasn't changed, I understand you're frustrated in hearing me right now. If your class has ever changed in this world, you're gonna understand what I just said and be like, drop them jewels, Wiley. It's a class conversation in this world, more so than race. I digress. Because Lamont kept talking about collective community interests. He says you should vote for someone because you are. They're speaking to you. I am black, so I should vote for them. Not because they're black, because I am black. To me, that's thinly veiled as, like she said, not really intelligent. It's thinly veiled as pretty much racist, but it's thinly veiled in not having a great premise, because what does LeBron, who's a black person, have in a community interest that's the same shared experience as the Southside Chicago cat? Right now, go. We need more YMCAs. What are you gonna say? Gentrification. What you gonna say? These are not LeBron's issues, but LeBron's black. That's the whole point. Get rid of this thing. It's not a thing. It's everything.
I know what you're going through, and I can fix the economy for you. And hear me out.
Yes.
I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm saying that if you have $1 billion, you might be able to do that, although I hate billionaires. And if you have no money, you might be representing the interests of the rich. Again, we can't assume a one-to-one correlation between people's own identity and status and what they're representing, because when we do that, we make a lot of dangerous assumptions.
All right, well, here's one that wasn't an assumption. Stop saying this, people. Stop hating elites and billionaires, because you're hating yourself. That's self-hate. You know why? Because you want to be elite. You want to be a billionaire. It's okay if you're not, but you want to. No one woke up wanting to be an underdog. No one woke up wanting to be in the hood. No one woke up wanting to be broke. But you're going to make the best of it. You're going to survive and then you're going to thrive. But this whole narrative oh, I'm glad everybody against me against the... No, you shut up, you scared at. Woo. Stop this. I hate success. I hate greatness. I hate... No, you don't. You love it. You just ain't got it yet. Or you may never get it, and it's fine. But stop hating them and trying to bring them down so you can pull yourself back up, partner.
So I'm not going to reject LeBron James because he's rich. I'm going to reject him if I were to because I don't agree with his argument. Similar to Donald Trump. I happen to agree with LeBron James though in this particular case that Donald Trump did not best represent the interests of the people. While I don't think identity politics should govern our decision-making process, I also don't want us to be naive either as a nation. I don't want us to assume that nobody rejected Kamala Harris because of her womanness or nobody rejected Kamala Harris because of her blackness. And the reason why I say that is because when we look at the campaign trail, when we look at the surrogates for Trump and other people, or people who just don't like either of them but are still calling Kamala Harris a whore or a slut or the N-word. I mean, these are things that absolutely suggest that misogyny and misogynoir play into it.
Candace, you want to respond?
Yeah, if I may respond. First and foremost, Trump has never tried to say, I am a blue-collar worker. So that's just completely wrong. He actually leans into the fact that he is. You correlated him to LeBron James, and you said, well, he does the exact same thing that LeBron James is doing. No, LeBron James pretends that he is living a struggle. Trump does not. Trump says, I'm rich, I run a company, and I can help you get rich. He literally makes jokes about the fact that he's rich when he's at these events, and he's tossing jokes about, I'm a billionaire, I've done this. Like, he is the New York City stereotype billionaire who basically says, I run businesses, and I'm going to run this country like a business, and I'm going to lift you up, and I understand how trade works because I've been running a business. So I just fully reject that he's somehow cosplaying a blue-collar worker. Blue-collar workers are responding to him because he speaks in a way that they believe that he's going to uplift them. That's great. I'm happy we agree on that point, but you did try to correlate him to LeBron James 5 seconds ago, and that's just not the truth. But to respond to your point, because this has really bothered me, people pretending that those who have told the truth about the fact that Kamala Harris did sleep with Willie Brown and was not warranted to the position that she has, district attorney, pretending that this came up because she's running for president or because there's some element of misogyny, that is patently false. It was actually leftist newspapers at the time that she was running in Los Angeles. I pulled up these old articles in the San Francisco Chronicle who were scandalized. They felt that it was a scandal that she was being given so much power, that she was being put on boards that she did not deserve to be put on, and that she was being given those positions and making all that money not based on her merit, but because she was having an affair with Willie Brown. Again, these were the leftist San Francisco articles that were covering it at this time. You can go back, way back machine it, and read those articles yourself. So people point to the fact that she was essentially coronated because of who she was sleeping with in the past, and then now is essentially just being handed another position, not because people voted for her. I think it's relevant to the discussion of whether or not she is qualified for that position. That's fine. And the last thing I'll say is that I found it to be really alarming and borderline satanic in the manner that they ran to women and said, well, this is the election that hinges upon abortion. And I am not saying this even as a critique of people that are pro-choice. I actually think they moved away from pro-choice. They went like pro-death. It was very bizarre. It wasn't like, the typical we are pro-choice and you are pro-life. They essentially were coming to women, and their only basis for saying to vote for her is, well, the only thing women could possibly care about is whether or not we have the authority to, murder our offspring. I don't think that actually resonated even on the left. They're not that radical on the topic of abortion to make your entire platform hinge upon it. And I think that's the reason why so many people who otherwise are okay with the pro-choice movement, we also saw in those exit polls, moved away. Women moved away totally from the Democratic platform. I think it was a big mistake to hinge an entire election upon the topic of abortion in the way that they did.
Candace don't give a damn about nothing but the real. Say what you want. Her parents deserve flowers. They raised a gangster. Even if it doesn't line up to what you believe. Because I hear this a lot about me. People say, dog, I don't always agree with you, but you're going to say it because you feel it and it's real. Golly, Candace Owens. Okay, let's get to this. Let me get out of this. I had to put on the Grim Reaper. I was like, she about to kill somebody on this interview. We're going to do part 2 of this interview later. This video going to be 500 minutes. So I'm like, golly, we split it in half. It's insane. And it gets better. They talking some stuff right now. Coronation. I thought she said horror nation. I was like, man, come on, y'all. Y'all can't go here. The greatest point I heard at the end was the fact that LeBron James, Donald Trump, and women, all those things, because of the rhetoric that was involved, the level that they were talking to, were talking to us like we didn't understand reality, like we didn't know what the real was from the fake, right? Turning the argument about women's rights, or abortion, let's start there. Abortion, pro-life, pro-choice, to a women's rights conversation, to a platform for a presidency. Do you see how much you stretched that? And I think people started to see that this wasn't really the substance that they desired in terms of what the conversation should have been. Nah, y'all just trying to get elected. Y'all ain't really caring about this. We saw that one. We also saw how they try to tear us apart, not with the truth. It's okay if we disagree on the truth, but they try to tear us apart in the propaganda. Yep. You're a sellout if you look at Trump. Well, 9% of black women are sellouts. And 21% of men are sellouts. And that's a lot. Because the Republicans typically get, 5-8% we've seen. 20 men. If you don't know now, you're going to learn later that you got to get out of that box. Because the only box you should be in is no box. And it almost feels like this emancipation, this freedom, this liberation occurring when it shouldn't be. Just like it shouldn't be in someone's mindset. This election, I'm voting for policy. I'm voting for what I really feel, not just because the person looks like me or represents me. You guys watch me. You know I'm not a fan of representation. Not like everybody else. I'm not. I don't need to see another sucker person in this world do what I want to do if I want to do it. And it ain't harming nobody, for real. I'm not necessarily thinking I'm a pioneer, but at the same time, I went to Columbia not knowing a single soul in this world that went to Columbia and went to the NFL. And it wasn't even part of my thought process. So give my parents their flowers. I wasn't sitting there saying, if someone that I know or someone that looks like me hasn't done it, then I'm not going to do it. Because I ain't no punk. You ain't a punk either. You're just punking out. So we're looking around. Who's doing it like me? Who's doing it that look like me? Okay, I'm going to do it. I hate when they say that. They be trying to do that with the girls and the daughters especially. They be, she's going to feel empowered because there's other girls there. So if it's all boys, go give them business. What did I tell you about that 7-year-old girl we just played, almost beat us in the championship last week? 7-year-old girl playing against 9-year-old boys. Buckets. Like, what? Well, I get it. That's sports. She ain't hit puberty yet. They ain't hit puberty yet. And it's gonna go different directions. Point being, that's the mindset. Stop looking around, you scared individuals, for someone else to do what you want to do so you can feel more encouraged. It doesn't matter on either end. Whether you looking at them and saying, hey, I'm going to vote for Trump because I know someone who wants to vote for Trump. And that's what really happened. That's why I explained that like 15 minutes ago. Candace Owens, Jason Whitlock, me, Obama, Jay-Z, all of that kind of started to make it where it was more acceptable to vote for Trump. When it should have never been a problem. If you agree, you agree. You disagree, you disagree. And it shouldn't be a problem if you didn't vote for Kamala. Or if you did, shouldn't be a problem. That's why we talk like that on this show. We talk it through it. Hydration situation. Some people say it's the water cooler conversation. You know, the one you got to whisper about. Some say, hey, we in the locker room, like I say, right? In the locker room. You ever been in the locker room? Oh, it gets real. Point being, we going to talk that talk. We going to walk that walk. And we got another half of that interview to walk. Yeah. And trust me, when I say that other half of that interview is going to be gangster, it going to be gangster. Make sure y'all log on to projecttransition.org. I will. If you become a gym member, a giver every month, just hit the monthly. You're going to go in there and say, yeah, what am I supposed to do here? Monthly. Okay, give some money. Okay, here you go. This is what I can afford. Bam, that book coming to your homeboy. Signed, sealed, and delivered. I just signed 30 of them yesterday. It's crazy out here in these streets. But this helps us educate and empower the underserved and give these itty bitties a shot. Y'all ready to hear a song? It's time to rap. We got to help them. I'm on the football field, representing the NFL shield. You know who real, I'm real. Let's go. Time to throw the peel. Throw it. You know it. Go get it. Show it. I owe it. Make sure y'all help us educate and empower them itty bitties, man. They need the love, man, so they ain't gonna grow up no punks like us. Oh, it's too many punks out here talking about, where's my representation? Ain't no representation. You better represent. That's your representation. Like I'm going to say this right, Jane Wan Smith One time, $250 donation supporting Project Transition. Love for all you guys and gals out there. Let's go get that thing over to wow, gone. What's up, y'all? It's Marcellus Wiley, founder of Project Transition and proud gym member. I'm excited to share with you an opportunity that will support our kids on their mission to making their dreams a reality. At Project Transition, we believe that real change comes from consistent action and support. That's why we invite you to join our powerful gym membership program that is making a difference every single day. As a gym partner, by giving every month, you'll fuel our mission by providing monthly support that turns into real empowerment and education for underserved youth. Your commitment reduces school dropouts, nurtures communities, and funds impactful programs like the Rising Stars Academy that we share. Together, we can turn potential into prosperity. Join the group of community champions driving change. Your contributions will help aid success by providing essential educational resources, building critical life skills, and fostering community strength. There's no better feeling than knowing your support will ignite hope, foster dreams, and empower the next generation. Join us today and be a part of transformative change. Help our youth become greater than their greatest excuse. Become a gym partner. Thank you.